Despite the challenges of rising inflation and high food prices, many Nigerians still found ways to celebrate Christmas with joy and enthusiasm this year. According to a most recent market survey, the rising prices of essential goods like rice, cooking oil, and tomatoes have made it difficult for many people in Nigeria to afford the necessities for a traditional Christmas celebration. Last year, a bag of rice could be purchased for 30,000, but now it costs between 40,000 and 45,000 naira. Similarly, a 10-liter bottle of cooking oil now costs 15,000, and a 25-liter cake can be purchased for 30,000 from 30,000 to 35,000. The price of perishable goods like tomatoes has also increased, with a small basket now costing between 2,500 to 3,000 naira. These rising costs make it a challenge for people in Nigeria to afford the ingredients for holiday meals and traditional treats. To discuss more on Christmas in Nigeria amidst inflation and food prices hike, we have in the studio Mr. Jide Ojo, a public commentator. We are also joined virtually by Aliyu Audu, who is an economist. Welcome to the program.
It's a pleasure.
And compliments of the season, yeah.
Thank you. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you. And let's start with you, Mr. Jide Ojo. You've heard of this introduction and Christmas amidst difficulty. I know this is somehow a current issue. Almost virtually every year we lament, but then I don't know. This year seems to be on a different scale. How is it like for people out there, celebrating Christmas in this season?
Thank you. Compliments of the season. You said it all. People still had their celebration in spite of the high cost of commodities. And this, I think, we need to situate in the global economic situation. It's not peculiar to Nigeria that there is rising food prices or energy prices. It's a global challenge. And in economics, it is said that the best time to buy anything is yesterday because the prices are never stable. There are different reasons why this is so. In economics, it also says ceteris paribus, so all things being equal. Has everything been equal? Has everything ever been equal? Everything will never be equal. And when I watch TV and listen to radio, people say, oh, this thing we were buying it 5,000 last year, it's now 6,000, it's now 7,000. That is the way life runs. That is how life rolls. You never will expect prices of commodities to stay constant. The reason being, one, what is our productivity level? The rest of the world has moved to innovation, science and technology, and have been able to produce things cheaper. Today, Nigeria goes to China to buy goods. China is estimated 1.3 billion in population. The average Chinese is not a Christian, but he produces what the Christians need to celebrate Christmas. All these lightings that you see, the decorations, are mostly from China. But Chinese are, they believe in Shintoism and all of those other things that we don't even know of their existence in Nigeria. But through innovation, through science and technology, through industrialization, they've been able to corner a huge chunk of global market, not even Nigeria market. Do you know that there is Chinatown in almost every country? Chinatown, a whole town of their own. Our textile industries have been taken over by China. Our electronics industry has been taken over by China. And same with US. US will go to China to produce because they have cheap labor in China and bring. And what they just tell them is that this is our specification for American consumption. This is Nigeria. Our own traders will go to China and say, give us the lowest quality because that's the one we can sell. So with lack of science, technology, and innovation, there is no way we will not, as a consuming nation, you are dependent on the price because you are now not in a position to influence the pricing. And look at the devaluation of the currency. Our currency has been so devalued that it is unprecedented that you have this kind of exchange rate. It was inconceivable that Nigerians will be exchanging £1 for close to 900 naira and a dollar for close to 700 naira. But that is what you take to go to China, Wuhan, or Shanghai, or Beijing, to go and import goods. And when you import, you do the conversion in naira, and so you have to sell at a cost recovery rate. You cannot sell at a loss.
All right, now let's bring in our virtual guests into the discussion. Ali Audu, you're an economist, and we're talking about the economy here and how good or how bad it actually is. We've talked about this so many times. And Mr. Gideon actually brought up a couple of issues as well. Is there a way out? It's a global thing, yes, we know. But as Nigerians, is there a way out? Is there something that we can be able to do? Is there any policy? We know that there's no silver bullet, but is there any policy that we can be bringing to make things a bit stable from what they are right now?
Thank you very much, and Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year in advance. Absolutely. There's a lot we can do, especially in the area of agriculture. We're complaining of inflation, rising food prices. As I've said before, and I'll always say, is for us to look inward. We currently import what we shouldn't import. And if you are importing food that you eat, it means that when there's a global shock, like the price of dollar goes up, the price of the food will go up too, because you're not producing it locally, you are importing it. So once the price of dollar goes up, the price of that food that you're importing from a foreign country is going to go up because it's driven by the dollar. You need dollar to go and import this food. As of the last time I checked, we have a food import bill of $5 billion. We import sugar, we import milk, we import fish, we import a lot of things. Benin Republic, Burkina Faso, they produce sugar. 46% of the sugar they consume is produced in Burkina Faso. In Nigeria, we produce 2% of the sugar we consume. Whereas the African Development Bank, the president, Mr. Adesina, said that we have enough agrarian land to be able to produce sugar and import, not only produce, to even export to other countries. Let me tell you the scale of what we are missing. India creates about 6 million jobs from the production of sugar. Now, we are not producing sugar. We are importing sugar. And then we have enough land to be able to produce this. We're not only losing jobs, we're bringing inflation. We're importing inflation from foreign countries because since we're not producing the food we eat, when the price goes up in foreign countries or there's a global shock like the war in Ukraine or whatever happens and the price goes up or the dollar goes up, it is going to be translated into local consumption. And that's why we are screaming, inflation, 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 coupled with the insecurity here. So the number one step is that we have to produce what we eat. That is the basics of any economy. Okay. Try and produce what you eat. Let's look at Israel. Israel does not even have a good agricultural land, but they have used technology to be able to produce food. So we have natural land, and we are not producing. So we need to look inward. We're a blessed country. We have all it takes. We need to look inward to produce, to begin to produce, especially in the area of agriculture. Benue is a food basket. We have a lot of good agric soil. So why are we not producing? That is the issue here. We should stop importing, because we are importing problems. We are importing inflation. We are importing joblessness. We should begin to produce our food. That way, price of food is going to go down, and then we create jobs. So we have to go back to the drawing board. Nigeria is a blessed country. We can produce it. It's even attested by the African Development Bank that we have.
Okay, Mr. Audu, you spoke about production, but one issue that people would say is if you take the example of rice, there was the CBN's Anko Borrowers program where billions of naira were pumped in to at least, make Nigeria self-sufficient in rice production. And the federal government closed the borders just to ensure that imported rice is not coming in. Yet, price of rice is going up. What's the economic sense of that? I mean, is it worth it? With all the investment and with all the border closure to sell the home production, yet the price of rice keeps going on. What's happening?
As you can see, traditionally, during festive seasons, Salah, Christmas, price of goods normally go up because demand exceeds supply. And some traders take advantage of the market. Everybody's rushing to the market. They increase their prices. That is traditional. But what the rice program that was introduced by the current administration, it's a win-win for Nigeria. As you can see, before we used to import rice. We were the second largest importer of rice. We're second to the European Union. That's how bad it was. And since we have started the production of rice, you see Nigerian rice is competing with foreign rice now. Before, Nigerian rice used to have sands and a lot of people could not buy it and eat it. But now, because of these programs that have gone on, you notice that Nigerian rice is competing favorably with foreign rice now. And they don't have the stones that they have anymore. And you can see a lot of rice producers are producing. I even heard of rice, the Olam setting up in Kaduna and creating jobs and also producing. So there is the healthy inflation that everybody experiences during festive periods. And then there is the extraordinary inflation that comes that we import as a result of importation and overdependency on foreign food and dollar. So I'm happy to state that the rice now, if it wasn't for the policies of blocking importation of foreign rice, we would have found ourselves possibly paying 60,000, 70,000 naira for a bag of rice. Because remember, dollar was at 400, it increased to 700. That is the same way rice would have increased. But we thank God that we're now producing our rice. Now, a bag of rice is between 30 to 40,000. I believe that is in accordance with but our production of rice has created jobs, and it is the best direction for us to go.
All right.
It is by far better than we were before.
All right, now, so let's bring you back to the studio right now. Mr. Jide, you just heard what he said about we need to produce, we need to be able to export, we need to rely less on imports and the rest of it. Are we even on the right? Are we with the way to doing that? Are we on the right track?
We are on the right track, but it needs a lot of perseverance, a lot of sustainability beyond this administration. A number of steps have been taken. Malan was asking about the Ankoboras program, where about 1 trillion has been spent to encourage farming, but we are still doing largely smallholder farming. People are cultivating half acre, 1 acre, the world has moved away from smallholding farming. What we need is to have what is called the plantations, large agriculture, mechanized farming, that you see, if you go to Europe and America, you see people with, 50, 100 hectares, and they are able to take advantage of mass production, because then you hire, you buy, you own harvesters, planters, processors, and all of that. So it's agri value chain is very long, but we have not been able to key into that value chain, because 80 to 90% of our farmers are still doing small holding farm, sustainable, what's it called? Is this subsistence farming? So unless we move away from that, and when you say subsistence farming, a man has 2 wives, 8 children, and himself making about 10 of them, and he has just a plot of land to farm. Definitely he won't have anything to sell, and he cannot farm all the products on that small farms. But if you have if you are engaged in mechanized farming, you can have a section for tomato, a section for cassava, a section for sorghum, a section for for maize, a section for rice. And that is the advantage of encouraging mechanized farming. The Holland farm, unfortunately, what we also need to factor, which my colleague didn't mention, is the flooding that took place this year. Just September, October this year, a very devastating flood. The Holland farms was overrun by floods, and only God knows the gargantuan loss that company has incurred. Likewise, many of the Anchor Brewers beneficiaries in the Benue Trough, from Niger down to Katsina, to Kaduna, down to Benue, to Kogi, Nasarawa, all of them felt the impact of flash flood, which is likened to what we experienced in 2012, in 2022. So definitely it will impact negatively on the price of food commodities. Apart from insecurity, we are still not yet out of the wood. People are still being picked like snails in many rural communities where this small holding farming is taking place. I've read about in places like Katsina, Kaduna, Niger, where farmers have to pay access fee to be able to go to their farms. And when it is time to harvest, they need to also pay the bandits the harvest fee to be able to produce. So at the end of the day, they will put it on the final consumer. You get. So unless we improve on security, we improve on our innovation, science, and technology, we are able to take advantage of large, because when we talk inflation, we talk rising cost of production. Prices will rise when demand exceeds supply. If supply is higher than demand, price will fall. That's why when it is citrus season, mango, orange, and all of that, because they are perishable foods, they cannot put too much, even plantain. When it is the season, you will see that price will come down. But when it is off season, price will go, even albasa and all of that. So there is law of demand and supply that affects food prices. There is also the issue of subsistence nature of our farming. There is also the issue of lack of innovation, lack of, look at our exports. We produce this rice. We just do paddy, and then we do not have those value chain that can easily help you to process it into finished products that you need to bring it to farm. There is still what is called post-harvest losses, which is about 40% of post-harvest losses because of the rural communities where these farms are. In which case, when you want to bring it in, then it comes to the issue of fuel. The vehicles, the articulated vehicle that you want to hire to bring your food item from Benue is running on diesel.
All right, Mr.
A liter of diesel costs about 900 naira.
Yes.
So definitely it adds up.
So it's actually multiple
Multiple challenge that we are facing.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jide